Welcome to the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast with your host, hailing from Kaukauna, Wisconsin, riding a CST tires, SSI decals, traveling back Yamaha YFZ 450R, four-time ATV Motocross National Champion, number 25. Cody Janssen.
What's up, everybody?
We're back.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, episode 136 of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, CST Tires, in stock and available for purchase today at shop.csttires.com. I'm your host, Cody Janssen, saying hello to our over 255,000 monthly Digging Deep listeners in all 108 countries in which you are listening, and this is our 2024 Ironman Race Review Show. Ironman Raceway in Crawfordsville, Indiana is one of the most prestigious facilities in all of American motocross. This past weekend, ATV Motocross headed to the Midwest for the first time here in 2024 to this track that has always seemed to offer up great racing and a curveball or two, and the 2024 chapter was no different. This will be a bit of a refined version of our race review shows this week, as I am on my way as we speak to Budds Creek for our live show this Saturday night at the Quadapalooza event there. But first, we have all kinds of action to discuss from round 4. Let's start by quickly shouting out all of our incredible partners. CST Tires, go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, Valvoline, DID Racing Chain, Namura Technologies, Bronco ATV and UTV Components, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, the financial advice of the Haymauer Financial Group, DP Brakes, Factory 43, Binky's Forever ATC Museum, Impact Solutions, Ultimate Poly Products, UPP Racing, our choice when it comes to case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more, the D6 Ultimate Quad Series, and Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. The season is off to a great start, and keep it going strong by going to manscaped.com and using code DIGGINGDEEP20 for 20% off plus free shipping. Whether it's the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, the GOAT of electric razor trimmers, my favorite, the Beard Hedger Pro Kit from Manscaped, or the best nose hair trimmer ever created, the Weed Whacker 2.0, get 20% off and free shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. So rad that Manscaped is continuing to invest in ATV racing as a longtime partner of Digging Deep. Help us keep them in the fold and involved in ATV racing by using our Digging Deep 20 code so they know you enjoy Digging Deep and what we're all about over here. Support all these great companies that support us, and for any products that fall through the cracks, click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website to help us out. No matter what off-road gear parts you need, Rocky Mountain ATVMC has you covered. But before you buy, simply click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website. By using our specific link, we get a percentage of what you buy on the back end, enabling you to help us out while purchasing the parts you need anyway. And did you know you can buy OEM parts from Rocky Mountain ATVMC as well? Yep, shipped conveniently right to your door. So click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner at diggingdeepatvmx.com to help us out while satisfying all your gear and parts needs. Shout out to all of our donors over the years, and if you are interested in donating and hearing your name on the show, you can find the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee donation links on our website. Major thanks to all who have donated, of course. Now, if you can't donate but you still want to help us out, you can leave us a rating or review on iTunes and Spotify. That helps us out a bunch too. Now, it's showtime. The 30-second board is up, it's sideways, and the gate is down. Time to dig deep.
Let's go!
All right, guys, we are back for another race review podcast here at Digging Deep, and this is a special one, not just because we were back at Ironman this past weekend, which means the series made its first trip to the Midwest in our neck of the woods, but it was special for my family as well, as my father made it to his first ATV National since suffering a stroke just under a year ago. So it only felt right to have him join me here on this race review podcast. He comes to us courtesy of the D6 Ultimate Quad Series as they get set for round 3 at Hurricane Hills in Pennsylvania on the weekend of May 25th and 26th. Please help me welcome my father, Joel Janssen, back to Digging Deep and back to the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. Thanks so much for joining me, Dad. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you, Cody. How are you?
Man, excited to talk about a little Ironman and all the action that happened there, and a little bit of a streamlined episode tonight as I fly out. And it seems like no time for the Quadapalooza weekend at Budds Creek this upcoming weekend, highlighted for us by a Digging Deep live show on Saturday evening right there at the track following a day of ATV open practice there at Budds Creek, but needed to get a race review show out here in the meantime. And Dad, you've been eyeing a return to the races for a long time, damn near a year at this point. It was a journey, but you did it, and it all went pretty well this past weekend, huh?
Yeah, it was a blast. I had such an enjoyable time, Codes, with all our customers and friends and just race associates of yours and mine. It was great. Lots of friends and family. It was fun. Very much fun.
Yeah, for sure. It lived up to the hype. And on the track, honestly, the track was prime all weekend. There was a threat of rain going into Friday there, and that really never materialized. And I think that happening, the lack of rain and the way that they prepped it or didn't prep it, lack of prep because of the rain that they thought they were going to get Thursday into Friday there, I think that really shaped the track that we got all weekend long. The fact that they expected rain, they didn't till it real deep, they left it dry and hard. And honestly, I thought the result of that was a really good racetrack all weekend long.
Yeah, when we got there Thursday, you and I discussed the track seemed to be pretty tight, like they had it pretty well packed well. I think we did get a little rain overnight Thursday night. Not much, but dust control, rain. And boy, when Friday morning's practice came about, man, things were happening fast, weren't they?
Yeah, for sure. And just to kind of paint the picture of how little rain we got, they were watering before practice even
Yeah,
started. So,
yeah, they were.
yeah, they were watering. And the part that kind of got me, the part that shaped the weekend and the racetrack that we got is, they never really tilled it real deep, even in the mornings. And that created a little blue groove, which I thought that was really cool to see for once. I mean, we don't see that like we did 20 years ago on these ATV motocross tracks very often. And there was a couple spots on this racetrack. Obviously, there was some wet spots and some kickers and a little bit some stuff like that like you expect at an ATV national race, but there was blue groove and probably more than we've seen in the last handful of years or array of years at these ATV Motocross Nationals, and that was cool to see. And then on, I think it was Saturday morning, maybe, Sunset Bob came over and asked us if, as ATV guys, if we like the blue groove, and I'm like, hell yeah, man! Like it's cool to see something a little different. I mean, to think that the series was last at Chicani, right, where it's super rough and that's the roughest track on the circuit, and now we go to Ironman where there's some blue groove, and it's reminiscent of the TT era of ATV, GNC racing, where it's some TT and some motocross and all that stuff. I just like the diversity that we saw this weekend, having a little blue groove. It's not like it was 20 years ago when Redbud was even blue grooved, and now to have that this past weekend, I just thought that was a cool little added aspect to the weekend there. Maybe if there wasn't that threat of rain, maybe the track would have been different all weekend long, but I liked the racetrack that we got for sure.
The track was so fun to watch, reminiscent of being at Loretta's in the '80s and having the track buff up, or like you said, Redbud, Sunset Bob, and you and I had that beautiful conversation, and then discuss how years ago there were corners at Sunset. Everybody thinks the sand track. There are corners at Sunset that buffed up. In my years of flat tracking and things, TT, we always were looking for the track to groove up, and there's a lot of hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of tires down on those grooves. But boy, does that make for fun racing.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I love the little bit of blue groove that you get with ATV racing sometimes, and thought that was awesome this weekend. There were some changes to the racetrack. There was a few obstacles that were different after the finish line. The way that was routed a little differently than we've seen in past years. I think that as we came down the hill for the very first time, Brooke and I looked at each other, and I said to her, I'm like, this is getting ready for the Motocross of Nations. And that's obviously the rumor that's out there that's going to come here to Indiana in the next couple years. And then when we talked to Tim Cotter, I kind of dropped that on him. He's like, oh, You're in the know, huh? So clearly they're getting ready for Motocross of Nations there. And honestly, some of the little technical stuff, like I liked the way that the track was before, but that big off camber corner or pretty steep off camber right after the finish line this year and switching back that technical double that was, kind of leading up towards Godzilla, a couple corners
Yep.
before Godzilla. I thought that was really fun, especially to watch the pro guys that they hit their marks doubling that thing so perfectly when it dried up a little bit. It flowed better probably than it even looked. So I liked the track changes. And I saw a number of people kind of complaining or whatever, slighting the track changes. And you gotta remember that we're kind of seeing them kind of mid change here. That's not the finished product. It just so happened that the ATV Motocross National track, national weekend there is kind of in the middle of these track changes as they get ready for Motocross of Nations down the road and Motocross National this summer. But yeah, I thought that the track flowed really well, and I thought conditions were great. Weather was awesome, and kind of starting with the pro class. Obviously, things start with their time qualifiers. Joel Hetrick topped the board there, but it was just by a half a second over Brandon Hogue, which is quite impressive if you're Brandon, because this is arguably Joel's best racetrack on the circuit. So to have him be that close, to be sitting that close in the qualifiers is pretty impressive. And Bryce Ford was right there as well. He was just another half second back. So that was a damn good time for him. And then Max Lindquist jumped up to the fourth spot in Q2, which would be kind of a precursor for what we would see from him in the day that played out after that.
Absolutely. Your mother and I were able to watch qualifying from several locations around the track, watched how the track flowed, and watched these pro qualifiers, which was phenomenal. And I made comments about Brandon and Bryce and Joel and Brandon Hogue, how he looked, and Max. It was really, really fun to watch. Jeffrey Rastrelli had a really good Q1 qualifier, but yeah, wow, it was very interesting because the gap was closer between the top everybody from Joel, and we knew it was going to make for some interesting racing.
Yeah, I realize that there's not 30 guys lining up or trying to qualify for the pro class right now. But at the same time, the guys that are out there are freaking ripping. Like there's only the cream of the crop out there right now. And something that I had said multiple times over the weekend was, with so few guys in the class at the moment, because we got a bunch of guys busted up and things around that nature there, I feel bad for the guys that are out there because, like getting eighth is a really big deal. And those guys are racing their tails off for eighth or whatever place, but eighth is an example, how hard they're racing for that place. And yet there's nobody else, there's not a ton of dudes behind them to show how freaking fast they're going. But yeah, we'll get back to that topic as we go here.
Sure.
But Moto 1. So Moto 1 comes around and Bryce Ford rips the whole shot there, and he is sprinting early. It was Bryce Ford, Jeffrey Rastrelli, Joel Hetrick, Mason Jackson with a good start, and Kevin Saar rounded out the top 5 early in Moto 1. As Joel Hetrick made the pass on Jeffrey for second, Brandon Hogue was moving his way into the top 5, soon making it as high as third. But that's when I noticed Max Lindquist for the first time, as he made the pass on Mason Jackson for 5th. But then he made a mistake, and Kevin Saar and Mason Jackson went back by. So at that juncture, Kevin Saar and Mason Jackson were battling for the final spot in the top 5. These two find each other all weekend long at every race on both Saturday and Sunday. We said it on last week's episode. These guys are always finding each other. They're always shadowing each other. It's the battle that never ends. And just after that, the next thing that we saw in this moto was the heartbreaker of Brandon Hogue going up in smoke. I look over, I see his quad, like I said, smoke pouring from this thing. He's already off it, kind of just looking at it, so dejected, and can see the oil pouring out of the bottom of the motor there and all these things. And what a heartbreaker for Brandon Hogue there, as he was in third. He was up to third. He was racing real hard. He was making a push for the rider in front of him, Bryce Ford. But yeah, it wasn't meant to be in that first moto there because Brandon went up in smoke.
Yeah, that was it's always sad to see anybody. As you know, Brandon's got a soft spot in our hearts. Former Janssen rider, went undefeated years ago on a Janssen machine, and just a great kid, and nobody wants to see that happen. But yeah, I guess from what I understand, and maybe you can spread some light on it, but I think a connecting rod went out the bottom of the motor.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, something punched a hole through the bottom of that thing
Right.
to see all that oil pouring out of it, but heartbreaker there for him. So the cool thing is when the pack came back by on the next lap, he was cheering on Bryce Ford despite all the heartbreak that he was going through at the time. So that was notable, and I posted about that on social media, that it was a class act, obviously, from Brandon. There's nothing worse than having the pack race by you as you're standing there because you're broke down. And yet in that moment, he kind of cheered on Bryce Ford, and that was a pretty cool moment there.
Nice. That's, as you know, you've unfortunately stood in his shoes. That's not a fun place to be.
No, not at all. So don't know if I highlighted the fact that Joel Hetrick did make the pass on Bryce Ford there, but Bryce led a few laps. He led 2, 3, 4 laps there early, and then really kept pace with Joel for a while. So that was impressive, and that helped him kind of distance himself from the rest of the pack, including Brandon Hogue at the time. So Brandon breaks down and, cheers on Bryce as he comes by. So Joel Hetrick was gone at that point. He had up to a 15-second lead. It was Joel Hetrick, Bryce Ford, and Jeffrey Rastrelli now running strong there in third. But the battle to watch was Kevin Saar, Mason Jackson, and Max Lindquist. And ultimately, they would flip-flop on the last lap. Kevin Saar physically flipped, which was a heartbreaker. It was something that we were talking about at the trailer when we got back there, because I was so stoked to see Kevin there in fourth. And yeah, he flipped on the very last lap. So, a little bit of a heartbreaker for him, but it would end up being Max Lindquist grabbing the 4 spot there on the final lap, followed by Mason Jackson 5th and Kevin Saar 6th. We'll get right back to the show, but now a word from our sponsors. And thank you for listening to these ads. Without these great companies, none of this would be possible. Show your support for the people who support us. The official tire choice of Digging Deep, CST tires are the choice of ATV racing's elite on the track, in the woods, and every other terrain. CST tires swept the ATV racing world in 2022 as Joel Hetrick, Bryson Neal, and Bo Barron rode their Pulse MXR and Pulse HT tires to an ATV Pro Motocross title, GNCC XC1 Pro title, and 10th ATV Pro Works Racing title, respectively. Led by champion Joel Hetrick and podium contenders Bryce Ford, Jeffrey Rastrelli, and Nick Janusa, CST's Pulse MXR tire is the most trusted tire in ATV motocross today. Available in soft and standard compounds, the Pulse MXR offers the highest level of traction, most predictable cornering, and superior wear characteristics when compared to the competition. And did I mention they have a contingency program as well? Visit shop.csttires.com to join the CST takeover today, or prepare to be beat by someone who did. The best of the best choose CST. Do you? You know we're Team Blue Crew here at the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, as the Yamaha YFZ450R is the official ATV of Digging Deep. In a move started by 8-time ATVMX Pro Class National Champion Chad Wienen, who with his next championship will become the winningest champion in ATV motocross history, we are living in ATV racing's YFZ450R era. Alongside Wienen, 7-time GNCC XC1 Pro ATV National Champion Walker Fowler welcomed a pair of new champions to the Yamaha Champions Club, as the podium-proven Yamaha YFZ450R proved to be the winning choice for Joel Hetrick and Bryson Neal. This unprecedented success for the YFZ450R, its unrivaled quality and performance, and the clear fact that Yamaha is the leading OEM supporter of ATV racing has resulted in a complete Yamaha takeover within the sport quad market. Evident by the continuation of Yamaha's Blue Crew Racer Support Program, Yamaha riders will once again cash in on payout and prize opportunities in 2023, including a chance to win a brand new YFZ450R. For more info, head over to YamahaBlueCrew.com. Follow Yamaha Outdoors, as well as the new Blue Crew official channel on social media, and check out Yamaha's full proven off-road lineup at YamahaOutdoors.com today. SSI Decals, your way. SSI Decals sets the standard with the best looking decals, graphics kits, and vinyl wraps in the industry. Established in 1947, SSI took shape as an offshoot of their parent company by doing a little work for local pro Chad Wienen. Nearly 2 decades later, and fueled by a passion for ATVs, the company has flourished into one of ATV Moto's most recognized brands. From ATV Motocross, SSI has expanded into graphics and design work for top racers in GNCC, Works Racing, Pro Motocross and Supercross, off-road, and more, headlined by 8-time world champion top fuel drag racer Clay Milligan. Whether your project is big or small, SSI Decals will make your identity stick. Get started today at ssidecals.com and use code DIGGINGDEEP10 for 10% off at checkout. Things are about to get sick. The Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast is brought to you in part by DID and their wide range of championship-winning chains. From the street to the track and everywhere in between, DID chains are designed to give you the optimal riding experience with great performance and increased chain life. Consistent to the core, pick up your box of reliability today. DID, what drives you?
We are proud to be partnered with Namura Technologies. For over 20 years, Namura has pushed the limit of value and reliability in the ATV and side-by-side market. Covering more applications than anyone in the industry, Namura's full line of cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, and industry-leading top-end repair kits and more have led to higher overall engine performance for your machine. Visit your local dealer or online at www.namura.com and follow along on Instagram for giveaways and exciting new products in 2023. Namura Technologies, your one-stop shop engine component supplier.
We are pleased to be partnered with Bronco ATV and UTV Components. Bronco has been an industry leader in replacement hard parts and accessories for all makes and models for over 15 years. With a catalog that includes a full line of electrical components, engine internals and cylinders, shock and suspension parts, winches, clutch kits, valves, carb kits, bearing kits, and drive chain parts, Bronco is your hard part source for whatever you need, for whatever you ride. Available exclusively through distributors around the world, visit your local dealer or online at broncoatv.com.
For over 150 years, Valvoline has been dedicated to constant improvement and innovation across all disciplines of racing. As a proud member of Team Valvoline for nearly a decade, I have witnessed their unwavering commitment to pushing the boundaries of performance. Valvoline has sponsored some of the greatest names in motorsports, solidifying their position as a powerhouse within the industry. Being a part of this historically great team has been an incredible privilege. When it comes to my equipment, whether it's my daily commuting vehicles, race quads, or anything in between, I trust nothing but Valvoline. Their range of products and lubricants consistently deliver increased horsepower, durability, and engine life. I'm excited to announce Valvoline's breakthrough in performance, Valvoline Ultimate Power Sports. With up to 8 times stronger rust protection and 50% better wear protection, this cutting-edge formula ensures your ATV's engine runs smoother and longer for the ultimate ride. Tackle rugged terrains with confidence knowing your ATV's engine is equipped with the best protection available. Ready to experience the next level of performance? Head over to shop.valvolineglobal.com and use code DIGGINGDEEP10 at checkout to unlock an exclusive 10% off on your purchase. Don't miss out on this limited time offer to enhance your ATV's performance with Valvoline's Ultimate Power Sports engine oil. So heading into those second motos, the second moto there in the pro class, Jeffrey Estrelli and Max Lindquist were both in great position for the overall podium. With what happened to Brandon and, kind of those riders maybe being in just a tier up, maybe a little faster than the riders that are left in the class. But it was going to come down to those riders, most likely, those two guys. And it was going to come down to Jeffrey Estrelli or Max Lindquist. And we saw a battle there in the second moto, but we kind of knew that we were going to see a different podium than we've seen earlier in the year so far.
Yeah, absolutely. What's some enjoyable racing we saw this weekend?
I'm wondering if I missed some of my notes here, because the other thing that is notable that we didn't touch on in that first moto was the fact that, so leading up to that first moto, we got news just before the first moto that Nick Janusa was going to be out of the moto there and got hurt in the second qualifier. So picks hadn't locked yet for ATV Fantasy. I left them open. We put an update out there saying, hey, we're getting word that Nick Janusa is going to be out of this race. Anybody that needs to change their team, we'll leave it open until, the 30-second board is up, basically, and all these things. And a lap or two goes by and Nick Janusa is out on the racetrack. Now, obviously he wasn't cutting laps or racing real fast around this racetrack, but even to know that we know now that he has a broken wrist and he was out there circulating for points, that was pretty impressive. Not that he needed to prove how badass he is, but Nick Janusa being out there and doing what he did was pretty impressive in that first moto. And then he rolled out there again for the second moto too. So trying to salvage points. I don't know when the dude's going to be back, but he got some points on the weekend rather than zero. And just wanted to touch on the fact that, like I said, he didn't have to prove how badass he is, but pretty impressed.
Yeah, I felt bad for Nick. He's always been around a long time in our sport, a good ambassador, and to see him get hurt, from what we've heard, he broke his wrist. He didn't, I don't believe, get off his quad. I'm not positive about that, but he's not physically hurt anywhere else that I'm aware of. Do you know more details or social media, any posts or anything?
No, I mean, from what I read, it was just it was a big landing, right? You probably read the same thing I did. It was a big landing on the finish line section there, and got a little extra traction and overshot that downhill little triple thing after the finish. I'm assuming it landed maybe in that next face,
Sure.
and that would be a big hit. So heartbreaker for Nick. And like I said, when you lose Chad Weenan, when you lose Nick Janusa, when you lose Wesley Wolf, the class starts to look a lot different. They're not going any slower, but it's just there's less going on in the class. So obviously hate to see that. So this podium battle that's going to come down likely going into that second moto, we knew it was going to come down to Rastrelli or Lindquist, and it was Jeffrey who had the early advantage as he came out third behind Hetrick and Bryce Ford in that second moto. So Joel Hetrick got the whole shot, Bryce Ford second, Jeffrey Rastrelli third. Mason Jackson got another great start there, running fourth before Brandon Hogue and Max Lindquist got by. So then Hetrick and Ford started distancing themselves a bit. Jeffrey Rastrelli was sitting strong in third, with Brandon Hogue playing spoiler in fourth because he had DNF that first moto. He was just wanting to play spoiler in the second moto and get as many points as he could. And Max Lindquist was sitting in the fifth spot. So that battle for third was starting to tighten up between Max Lindquist and Jeffrey Rastrelli. But soon thereafter, Brandon Hogue grabbed the third spot. Max Lindquist made the pass for fourth. And that's all she wrote as far as that podium battle goes. It didn't really come to fruition where we saw a knockdown, drag out war between Jeffrey Rastrelli and Max Lindquist. Max grabbed the spot there. His 4.4 scores eventually we know would be good enough for the podium spot there. And yeah, that would be all we would see from that podium battle. Meanwhile, Dad, this is a conversation that we had later in the day there. Cody Ford, Joe Chambers, and Adam Ulrich were battling to the death for 8th, 9th, and 10th. It was absolutely insane. From my vantage point on the other side of the racetrack, when they did that rhythm section by the bridge, you know, the quad, double tabletop thing, where you were, I swore that all three of them were going to land on each other. They were so close. They were racing so hard. This is my point. These dudes were battling to the death. And there's not really anybody behind them, and they are just freaking going for it. And I felt like that needed to be highlighted because, man, I was so impressed with how hard those dudes were racing and still going late in that moto.
Yeah, it was interesting because Joey Chambers got up on Cody Ford, and I think he actually passed Cody Ford at one point. And then I kind of lost him for a minute, was watching something else. They came around and Cody Ford was ahead, but Joe Chambers was right on him. And Adam Ulrich was the other rider, correct?
Yeah, yes, exactly.
He was right there. So it would be Cody to the left, Chambers on the inside, and Ulrich right there. So they were within, appeared like 6 quad lengths between all three of them, mid to late into the race. Yeah, that was fun. My mother and I watched that quite a bit.
Man, and like I said, it's one of those things that, you know, if you weren't watching, you know, the whole class, you would have missed a really good race there where, you know, there was 3-4 laps where they were on top of each other, and then they'd pull, a couple of riders would pull out, and they were flipping and flopping and jostling, and man, it was awesome to see. So something happened to Mason Jackson, who was pressuring Jeffrey Rastrelli. He was pressuring him for the second week in a row here, and then he ended up falling back to 7th. So not sure what happened to Mason Jackson there, but that the last spar after that, after the battles in the front, after the battles, you know, between Cody Ford and Joe Chambers and Adam Ulrich, after everything kind of subsided, the last spar that we saw was Kevin Saar making a late run at Jeffrey Rastrelli for 5th. He didn't ultimately get there, but that capped what was an incredibly impressive day by Kevin Saar. Damn near 4th in the first moto, ended up 6th, but ran 4th with 1 lap to go, then crashed, and that impacted his day. A 4-6 day would have been really impressive, but he still rode well enough to be 4-6. He ended up 6-6, but his times and his speed was impressive all day, and to be basically a top 5 rider all day, man, came away from this weekend so impressed with Kevin Saar.
Yeah, it was impressive. I believe you talked to him later. You reported back to us that you had talked to him, and he was just pumped about his finish.
Yeah.
I mean, he had been battling around the 10 place spot, and to be able to finish sixth, was it 6 he finished overall, I believe?
Yeah. 6-6 for sixth. Yep.
Yeah, 6-6 for six, which is incredible. Yeah, he's another really enjoyable personality.
Awesome. Such a great addition to the series. And I love watching the way he rides because he hits his marks over and over and over again. I loved having him on that last episode. He's a guy that I think is making fans out of a lot of us. So another perfect day for Joel Hetrick. We saw him, obviously, he goes on as he wins both motos and the overall at Ironman. You draw the lucky straw or whatever you want to call it, because we ask our guests every week, Dad, what is there left to say about this guy? Perfect day for him, obviously fast qualifier, leads most all the laps, wins both motos by, relatively good margins. Perfect day. I mean, he never got sideways, never got crossed, nothing. Perfect day for him. I don't know what is left to say about this guy, but you get your shot at it this week.
Joel Hetrick. Yeah, something about Joel, his program has something to do with it, but the major percentage is Joel Hetrick. He's been very good for a long time, but he's just honing his skills now. He doesn't make mistakes like Kevin Saar, but a little bit better. He hits his marks lap after lap after lap. He doesn't do crazy things. He does smart things. He's not flashy. He's functional, and he wins races consistently over and over.
Yeah, which is crazy because he used to be the flashy guy, and
No.
now he's not out there trying to be flashy. He's just that damn fast that it makes it flashy.
Yeah. That's how his style is. He just rides his style. If somebody sees something, oh, that's Joel Hetrick. Well, they want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we highlighted on social media, it was the 61st win of his professional career. 4 overalls on the season so far, 8 moto wins. He's led 98 of a possible 103 laps. He's got 6 hole shots. He's been damn near perfect. So
I would say.
The other thing I highlighted on social media is the fact that by next weekend, by the end of the next race, we'll be halfway through the season, and we are definitely officially on perfect season watch. There's no doubt. Nobody wants to jinx it. I'm sure that's not words that are getting talked about in their camp, but as innocent bystanders here, it's definitely on our radar for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Jet Lawrence didn't want to talk about it. Joel probably doesn't want to talk about it, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, but we got to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Bryce Ford, 2-2 on the day, second overall. Crazy impressive. I called Etchikani his most impressive race as a pro, and this was pretty damn close. 4 consecutive podium finishes now for him. Got a whole shot in the first moto, led several laps. Like I said, another 2-2 finish, just like Etchikani. Clearly the best of the rest on the day. So that was really impressive. It's obviously to be the next best guy other than Joel Hetrick is a big thing. And Bryce Ford, 4 consecutive podiums. He's got a lot to be proud of, and it seems like he's getting a little stronger every single weekend. And like I said, when we were highlighting what happened in the motos, he's shadowing Joel at some points in these motos, and he's picking things up like a sponge. And man, the dude's only going to keep getting faster.
Yeah, he's not far off. You and I talked about that over the weekend. He's got some years to hone his skills if that's what he chooses to do, and he's really close. He's really close. He put some seriously fast laps in this weekend.
Looks like a young Joel Hetrick at times, for sure.
Oh.
The way that he's got that blistering speed. Third overall, Max Lindquist, 4-4 on the day, third overall. I said on social media, Max Lindquist is back. This is something that we've been saying over the course of the season here so far. He's just looked different than he did a year ago. He's looked stronger than he did a year ago. This was his 5th podium of his career and his first since Briarcliff 2022. So cool to see Max Lindquist have such a good weekend, and cool to see Max Lindquist kind of take a step, get his program back to what it was in years past, and kind of put on paper or make it official. We know he's been better, but to grab that podium spot, to put it back on the podium, man, I'm just stoked for a kid that comes from not far where we live here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, absolutely. Just down the road, little Swamico, Wisconsin. Max and his family, great people, always cheering for Max. Fast kid. And again, like you just stated, getting his program back to where it was a couple of years ago, or his finishes back to where they were a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I hope to see some future further successes this season.
Mm-hmm. You know how it is. The hardest one is the first one. And we're hoping to have Max on our live show at Budds Creek this weekend. And one of the things I want to ask him is, do you appreciate it more? Because now, like early in his career as a rookie, he was getting podiums at late in his rookie year there. He was a guy that was pushing for podiums. He got like 3 in a row at the end of his rookie year. And so now you kind of go on a hiatus. He gets back there, I think, so his rookie year, I think, would have been 2021. He got that podium in 2022, but now look where we are. It's May of 2024. It's almost like this one may have been the sweetest for him. You know, I'm sure there's nothing like the first one, but after you kind of endure some shit, to then put it back on the podium is probably a really good feeling. So I'm curious to hear from him and kind of what that emotion is like, because it probably felt like it was a world away at one point. You know, like, man, am I ever going to get back there?
Right. Yeah. I'm definitely interested in what his response is.
Yeah. So we'll see, but I'm excited to talk to Max. 4th overall, Jeffrey Rastrelli, 3.5 on the day. I know the second moto wasn't what Jeffrey wanted. He was really impressive in the first moto with the third there. Can't sleep on a moto podium. We know that Jeffrey's dealing with something. I know it's not public knowledge, but you can just see him. You can just see him riding. Something's going on. I don't know that it's an injury or anything like that, but there's just something up there. And I don't want to disclose conversations that we had with Jeffrey, but he's working on himself. He's working on getting himself better so that he's able to show his true potential on the quad. So I think I'll leave it at that. But yeah, comes away 4th on the day. Not a terrible day. Good points day for him, 3.5. And, but I know that day left him wanting more. And, now the series goes to High Point, a track that is probably Jeffrey's best racetrack on the circuit. So we'll monitor that with Jeffrey. Top 5, Brandon Hogue. Rounding out the top 5 is Brandon Hogue. He salvaged that top 5 by 9-3 scores. Obviously DNF that first moto, rebounded with a strong third in Moto 2. Obviously feel for Brandon. He's been so consistent so far. This is the first time he's been off the podium, but he was very much locked into that podium spot without that DNF. So heartbreaker there for Brandon, but I'm sure that it's just going to fuel his fire going into the next round 5 there at High Point. I'm sure he's going to be all fired up.
That's scary for everybody else.
That's another guy, man, that at those hard pack tracks, he just seems to thrive. That's where he's been at his best over the course of his career. So he's going to be fired up and ready to go at the next one.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
The following message is brought to you by Manscaped.com. The Manscaped engineering team has outdone themselves this time, creating the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, now available for purchase in the U.S. and Canada. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, an official sponsor of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, with this exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at Manscaped.com. I'm one of the first people to try the new 4.0 and I am blown away. This thing is next level. What sets this trimmer apart from all the rest? The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. It features a new multi-functioning on-off switch with travel lock for those of us who like to travel. And my favorite, the new trimmer allows you to customize your trim with 4 different guard lengths, an upgrade from its predecessor that only featured 2. If you're listening, you know that good tools are a must, so wait no more to get the best tools for the job. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped.com by using code DiggingDeep20.
Hey everyone, this is Larry Mills, president of DP Brakes North America and proud partner of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. We at DP Brakes are a longtime supporter of ATV racing and the world leader in sintered brake technology, dominating the ATV world for decades by supporting the best four-wheel racers on the planet. This year's lineup includes Jeff Rastrelli, Mark Baldwin and Baldwin Motorsports, Ford Brothers Racing, Nick Janusa, and many more, including Mr. Digging Deep himself, Cody Janssen. Plus all the top 17 GNCC pros such as 7-time champion Walker Fowler, Bryson Neal, Hunter Hart, Cole Richardson, Jared McClure, Anna McGill, and previous champion Chris Borich. These top riders continue to appreciate the high performance and impressive durability that their DP brakes have to offer, products that ultimately help place them on top of the podium week after week. DP brakes are available through www.dp-brakes.com, or you can purchase them through your local Parts Unlimited stocking dealer, or you can even message us, myself, Larry Mills, or DP Brakes on Instagram or Facebook. And if you have any questions about product or sponsorship support, please ask us. We are waiting for you. Join the best ATV riders in the world equipped with DP Brakes, and have a great year, everyone.
Nearing 2 decades into the brand's existence, Factory 43 is back and better than ever, continuing to make major waves in the ATV world. For the 3rd consecutive season, Factory 43 is the official aluminum parts choice of the Phoenix Racing ATV team, providing their state-of-the-art Evo Nerf bars, MX-style front bumpers, and grab bars for 2-time champ Joel Hetrick. If you're in the market to upgrade your Nerf bars, bumpers, or grab bars, head over to factory43atv.com to see their full line of industry-leading products available for all makes and models. Head over to factory43atv.com today.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Stillo, director of the D6 Ultimate Quad Series. We've been working hard over the years to bring you the very best in local ATV motocross racing. The D6 Ultimate Quad Series has race classes for all ages and skill levels. Maybe you're an experienced rider or you're just starting out, we have a class for you. We're excited to announce that we have 11 rounds of racing at tracks located in Pennsylvania, New York, and Maryland. For more information, follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
6th overall, we kind of touched on him. Kevin Saar, another guy that I'm hoping we'll have for the live show this upcoming Saturday. Excited to talk to Kevin again. He's a guy that, like I said, I so much enjoy. We talked about him. He was very impressive. He damn near was going to finish 4th in that first moto. And you kind of referenced the fact that I talked to him a few times throughout the weekend. And guess we'll kind of fast forward to Sunday. He blew up a motor in the second moto of Pro-Am, running second and kind of pressuring Mason Jackson, but running really well. And I said, man, hold your head high. You know, you rode really well. You got a lot to be proud of, all those things. And he basically said to me, I'm so happy with how yesterday went. I don't even care. And I'm like, wow, is that awesome? What an awesome outlook to have. It doesn't really get any better than that. So just love the guy was seeing the positivity through maybe a little bit of crap in the moment, and happy with a 6.6, because he could have been 4th, almost was 4th, but he was still like focusing on the fact that he was that good in the motos. He was riding that well. And I don't know, just made me leave that conversation with a smile on my face. Like, man, I wish everybody thought like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was great to hear that. Obviously, I think from hearing that, he's very comfortable with the team and stuff, so he's not getting pressured from the outside.
Right.
I think Brett and the team are very good to him, and yeah, that was great to hear that.
Well, Brett and his dad were also standing there with Brooke and I when we popped in for a moment at the end of the weekend, and CD basically said, man, you rode awesome. It wasn't you, it was the quad. So yeah, there's nothing but good vibes over there. And yeah, so happy to see that, and happy to not see any, not that I would ever expect it from Kevin, but there was no blow ups or anything like that. There was no, hard feelings, no, any of that stuff that goes on when you break. And that's just inevitable that happens. And he stayed clean and clear through all that. So 7th overall, Mason Jackson, man, this rookie is freaking impressive. 5th in the first moto, 5.7. Like I said, it could have been almost was looking like a 5.5 day, and then something happened in that second moto that set him back there. But Mason Jackson was awesome on the day. It's awesome to see this kid doing as well as he's doing. He's very much looking every weekend more like a guy that could that could and will be a guy that he's going to push for podiums and be a clear top 5 guy here in the future. He's only going to get better. We talked about the fact that he still rides. Some of his stance makes him look like a little boy yet. And yet he's going top 5 speed in the pro class. It's insane. So what an awesome addition to the class. And man, a kid that I really enjoyed seeing here in his rookie season as a pro. He's only 4 races in, and man, he so much looks like he belongs. It's insane.
Yeah, he sure does. Boy, that young man can ride. Holy mackerels.
I love to see it.
We'll talk about him a little bit further, I believe. But yeah, he's a weapon.
Exactly. Another rookie that's been impressive, 8th overall on the day, Joe Chambers. He's impressed at basically every race all year. 7-8 on the day. He's sitting really strong in points because he keeps logging these good finishes. And man, he just does it. He goes out there, does it every weekend. He's been really impressive. Like we talked about, he was pushing in both motos. They were racing back and forth. There was no quit in any of these guys. So you have to earn those spots. And I've been really impressed with Joe Chambers and Adam Ulrich too. You can't sleep on him. I said you couldn't sleep on him last week. He gives his effort till the very end. We know he's fit. He's on the program. Dom's working with him, has been for years. I think they're from the same town, and he's another guy that, there's not a ton of guys behind these guys in these races yet. They're slugging it out like it's for the win or for a podium spot or to win Pro-Am, because that's the speed they're going, right? And yeah, it's just impressive to see how well these guys are doing. Joe Chambers 8th, Adam Ulrich 9th, Cody Ford, he ends up 10th. He's been top 10 all year, which is impressive, but the box score doesn't show how good he was because something happened after he won the war. He won the war in the second moto of beating Joe Chambers, of basically beating Adam Ulrich. And then with like 2 or 3 corners to go, something happens. And we got word on Sunday that it was a fuse or something going wrong. Like
some odd.
Something odd, something weird happened was the story that we heard, that his knee like hit his fan or something weird and cost him that spot there. So 10-10 on the day for Cody Ford, but it should have been a 10-8 day. And the box score doesn't show how good he rode in that second moto, warded off those guys, passed them back, raced them back. And it sucks to see him not be repaid for all of his effort there in those long pro motos there in the pro class there on Saturday.
A couple things, 8th, 9th, and 10th, those guys, how hard it is riding that hard the whole moto. None of them, you didn't see their heads feeling heavy. You didn't see their arms. You didn't see their body position. It was all, those guys are all so greatly trained, so very well trained. Yeah. And then Cody Ford, I thought, well, Cody Ford had a good run, and your mother and I started walking back to the trailer. And then later on, I found out that something happened in those last few corners or a couple corners. I didn't even see it.
Yeah, we were walking back and I was waiting, I was waiting to see as these guys come, log in their last lap or whatever. And all of a sudden, Cody Ford falls down the board, those last few spots on the last lap. I'm like, man, like I said, I had made a mental note of how hard they were racing. I wanted to talk about it on the show, and it was all for naught. So that was a heartbreaker for him. Nick Janusa, 11th overall. He's hurt. He's got a broken wrist. I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't know if he knows how long it's going to be until he's back, but we'll keep people informed as we learn more here about that injury for him. A wrist is one that you kind of got to let heal. You kind of got to let that one do its thing. So we'll see what happens with Nick there. Obviously his top 5 streak in the points is obviously in jeopardy at this point. And my takeaway from that, he went pro in 2015. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. It's his 10th year as a pro. And he's finished top 5 every season so far. And it kind of shows we highlight that all the time. It's this big story. It's this big thing. But the fact that I never thought about this really until this weekend, until this event took place, that the dude has stayed healthy for all that time too. The dude has avoided any kind of major injury for 10 years racing as a pro. And that's about impressive as anything.
Yeah. We discussed it this weekend a little bit. You and I did, but as you know, and maybe I don't know this, you may know this, but 10 years in the top 5. I don't know if that's ever been done before. I mean, maybe Chad, Joel may be on the cusp of doing that here. But very, very few people ever race pro for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then to finish in the top 5 for 10 years, he's the GOAT of all time length of consistency, right?
Yeah, it's impressive. Absolutely. And that's why I like to highlight it, because it's a really impressive feat. So good for Nick Janusa there. So quick look at the points in the pro class. Joel's lead is up to 25 points over Bryce Ford. And now Bryce Ford has a nice little gap. I believe him and Brandon came in tied for second or very close to it. And he leaves Ironman with a 14-point gap over Brandon Hogue after what we saw in that first moto there. So like I said earlier, the class is light right now. I get it. There's people on the internet that want to cry about it or whatever, and say whatever they want to say about it. But we've lost Chad Weenan, we've lost Nick Janusa now, we lost Wesley Wolf. The report is that Aaron Salinas is retiring. Zach Decker is hurt, but the guys in the class are still going crazy fast, and the racing that we saw this weekend was really good. It was some of the best racing that I think that we've seen in a while. So I think that's what I would like to highlight more than anything else, is that these guys deserve a bunch of credit in that they're riding their tails off in the pro class there.
Yes.
I want to highlight a few amateur races before we get out of here, because there was some really good amateur racing that went on too. And you referenced the fact that we would touch on Mason Jackson again. He went 1-1 in the Pro-Am class. Kevin Saar was in position to go 2-2, but like we said, he blew up an engine late in the second moto. So then it was Joey Norris who ended up going 4-2 for second, and JJ Launderville went 3-3 for third.
I'm going to interrupt you for a minute. Most impressive feats of the weekend, or what I came away with, the most impressive rider was Joey Norris. For, I believe, 16 years old, he's not far off the pro lap time pace. I don't know. I didn't compare lap times to 8, 9, 10 versus Joey Norris's, but what a fast young individual. I mean, JJ and Kevin Saar and all the other people that are in there, Mason Jackson, but Joey Norris is impressive. He's 16 years old, I believe. Am I correct?
Yeah, he is. He's 16. Will be turning 17 soon, but 16 years old. And the kid has, and probably because he's 16 years old, has no fear. He just, his single lap speed is insane. And when he jumped that quad 5 thing that Deegan made famous last year, when he jumped that by the bridge there on the first lap, I thought the first lap I saw him do it in practice, I thought that his throttle stuck. Like, I thought I was beside myself what I was seeing. And then to see him stick the landing in that hole, in that gully, shut it way down for that double, man, I was just blown away. I'm like, man, this kid's skill, he has the opportunity to be really, really, really special at 16, to be going as fast as he's going. It's hard to even put it into words. The dude is just freaking ripping.
He's going to be a good personality. He's going to be good for the sport. His family's good.
Good kid.
His father and I had some chances to talk. I'm definitely going to be cheering for him in the future as well as I am in the present.
Absolutely awesome kid. For my money, Dad, I think Cody Houghton was about as impressive to me as anybody on the weekend. Obviously, Joey Norris and a number of guys put on some really great rides. Mason Jackson, really great rides in some of those fast classes. But Cody Houghton, as far as like just blowing me away, he blew me away on this weekend. I came away from the event so impressed with this kid as he took the win in the pro sport class. He won production A2, but the way that I think about him, like he's a TT guy, like that's his thing. He comes from TT, and he looked so natural, sending these huge jumps at Ironman and just like getting good hole shots and being out front and controlling the races. Man, I noticed him on Friday. I was like, man, Cody Houghton looks good. Cody Houghton looks really, really impressive.
You said that to me.
And he put it together all weekend long, and just see a young kid do that, to bring it all weekend, to hit his marks and be perfect. I came away from this event so impressed with this kid.
Yeah, you came back to the trailer and said, wow, did you see Cody Houghton? I said, I did. And I don't know if it played into the tracks starting to be buffed up a little bit, and the old TT guy in me or something, but he was hooking and he was going, and he knows he knew his lines. Like you said, he controlled his lead. He was fun to watch also this weekend.
Yeah, I wonder too if the TT aspect had anything to do with it, but thought that was really cool with the way that played out. His weekend played out. He executed it so perfectly. So Cody Houghton gets the win in pro sport, his first pro sport win, of course. He was very much in the mix for that pro sport win at Daytona, and it didn't come to fruition there. Made a mistake and kind of let that podium fade away. So to get it this weekend, it probably felt really good. JJ Launderville, another Wisconsin kid. He finished second there on the box in pro sport, and Joey Norris finished out the podium there, third overall for him. Some of the other classes that I just want to highlight as we get ready to get out of here. Jake Miller won a couple B class overalls, starting to look like the guy to beat in the B classes. Vincent Marinucci, who I knew you mentioned when we were kind of going over our notes throughout the evening here, he swept the C classes again. He swept the C classes for the second straight week, but this time he did so by winning every moto. He won all 6 motos, so congrats to him and his family. That was really impressive. Like I said last week, I don't care if you win 3 overalls and you win 6 motos or whatever. I don't care if you're an A rider in the C class. To do it for all those motos is pretty impressive. So good for him.
Very, very impressive. He's fun to watch also.
Yeah, good for him for sure. Jason Jackson, ATV fantasy player. It said it's killing him, but we love to hear that. He's having fun with us playing Digging Deep ATV Fantasy. He won both the 40 plus B class and the Masters 50 plus class. Kinsey Osborne, we're obviously highlighting and following this streak here, and we're going to probably or possibly be following this streak for a while yet. She kept the streak alive, now up to 33 consecutive moto wins in the WMX class. Shelby Cabrando and Ashley Brick joined her on the podium. Skylar Paduznak won 2 of the 250 classes. He's been on a tear, while Caden Tverziak won the other one. Sammy Joe Baxter won the 70 auto class, and Weston Nixon won a pair of 50cc overalls on the weekend. So that's our rundown. I say every week, I wish that we could mention everybody, but try to highlight riders who really slated on the weekend and some different riders as well. But Dad, that's going to do it for our Ironman review show. So grateful for the memories made this past weekend, of course. Glad you could relive them here with me on the show here. Do you have any parting words for any of our listeners here as we get ready to follow up?
Just a shout out to Jerry Turpe. He won 40 plus C.
Nice.
And yeah, that was great. You're going to we were going to mention a little bit about my Facebook page. I guess it's called a page that a friend of mine, Tim, started about the history and the current status of the Yamaha Blaster, #1 selling ATV of all time, called 3R Blasters, Ride, Race, Restore. So something's interesting. And it was just, I have been gone for almost a year from the race track. I'll be back at multiple races the rest of the year, and being able to see people and the perception of me being at the racetrack wasn't lost on many people, because a lot of my friends came back and it was like time hadn't changed. They were there for us like we were there for them.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, people should give the 3R Blaster page a follow on Facebook. That's where you got that going on. And yeah, it probably fits in with what we do here a little bit, because the Blaster seems to come up all the time on the show. All of us had a Blaster at some time. I had 10 of them. You had a bunch of them. And so many of our listeners are fans of the Blaster to this day. So definitely. But yeah, that's a wrap. I have to jump on a plane and head to Budds Creek, where we plan to get some super rad guests on. So definitely have the listeners, any of our listeners that are in the general area out there, definitely make a point to be there this weekend and get some riding in. I know they got a class with Max Lindquist and possibly Chad Wienen on Friday, open riding on Saturday, our live show on Saturday night, and I believe there's a practice going on Sunday as well. But with that, Dad, I can't thank you enough. Thanks so much to my dad, Joel Janssen, for joining me here on the show, presented by the D6 Ultimate Quad Series. And yeah, Dad, thanks so much for being here.
I love you, buddy. Hope to be on again this summer.
Love you too. Have a good night.
Success in the ATV MX world is similar to what creates financial success as well. The right people, the right advice, and more importantly, hard work and the benefit of an ongoing relationship as situations change and adversity is experienced. Do you have the right financial advisor to help you reach your goals? Haymauer Financial Group can create a personalized, goal-based plan to help your family prepare for whatever life brings. Call me, Scott Haymauer, at Haymauer Financial Group, a private wealth advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services, at 920-338-8150. That's 920-338-8150. Offices located in beautiful De Pere, Wisconsin, with registrations and clients nationwide.
Headlined by their 4130 chromoly, Launderville Steel and Concrete Supply is a full-service steel supplier of new and surplus steel, aluminum, and stainless steel products. This racing family-owned full metal service center and concrete product supplier comes with over 30 years of experience serving the entire United States from their central Midwest location. As the #1 choice for nationwide shipments and with available next-day delivery in select areas, LSE has you covered near or far. 4130 is not just the chromoly tubing and plate used in the building of chassis for an array of motorsports applications, but it is also the name of the newest addition to the Pro Paddock with riders Jaden J.J. Launderville and Max Lindquist, introducing the new 4130 Motorsports team. Launderville Steel offers a large selection of material for any project, including their concrete division that can supply everything you need to complete your next business or personal project. For a quote or more info, visit laundervillesteel.com today or give them a call at 715-675-6193. That's 715-675-6193. Here at Digging Deep, we have an obvious passion for ATVs and pridefully enjoy sharing the sport's history. Since 2019, when the podcast was born, we've been working to partner with individuals who share our passion, but one man and his vision had been missing from our partnership group. Until now. When it comes to the sport's history, the hallowed grounds of Binky's Forever ATC Museum has it all. Binky Tapscott's mind-blowing collection of 3- and 4-wheelers has preserved history by spanning all makes and models from Honda 3-wheelers in chronological order to unique builds that shaped ATV racing as we know it, like Doug Gust's iconic DRZ-powered hybrid thumper and everything in between. There's no denying Binky's passion, a passion that we certainly relate to here at Digging Deep. Binky's goal is to share his amazing collection with fellow enthusiasts by making his prized possessions accessible to the public via scheduled visits. Follow Forever ATC Museum on Facebook and watch foreveratc.com for further updates on possibly getting a chance to see Binky's Forever ATC Museum for yourself. We are proud to welcome Binky's Forever ATC Museum to the Digging Deep family. As the #1 podcast in ATV racing, it's only right that we partner with the industry leaders in suspension tuning. Insert Impact Solutions. Impact Solutions is a full-service ATV and side-by-side suspension center specializing in the revalving and service of your motocross and off-road suspension. With over 25 years of elite-level knowledge, experience, and testing with riders of all ages and ability levels, Jay Goebel and the Impact crew strive to exceed clients' expectations for service and setup. Impact Solutions is the official Elka Suspension Service Center of the United States, offering unmatched product knowledge and experience. Whether you're in need of service, parts, warranty, sales, or technical support, Impact Solutions has you covered. Head over to ImpactSolutionsATV.com or give them a call today. With the desire to keep you in the race, Ultimate Poly Products offers the ultimate protection collection of case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more. Founded on quality in 1998, this family-owned and operated business produces products created by racers for racers. These industry-leading products are proudly made and manufactured in the USA, with their case savers being made of the highest quality American-made polyurethane on the market and designed to completely conform to your engine case to help prevent case damage from a thrown chain, because no one wants to be a spectator on race day. Join top pro riders like Bryson Neal, Walker Fowler, John Glotta Jr., Adam McGill, Cole Richardson, and more by using UPP Racing products. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP15 at uppracing.com to save on your next order. Ultimate Poly Products, made to last longer so you can ride more. Thanks for listening, and remember to support our partners. Now back to the show. Man, I definitely don't take for granted being able to sit down and have these conversations with my dad. Major thanks to him being tonight's featured guest. Thanks to producer Dallas Janssen, my brother, for all his hard work. Thanks to my wife, Brooke, and AMA official Harv Whipple. Thanks to all of our donors. You know who you are. We appreciate you so much. Thanks to all of our partners. CST Tires. Go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, Valvoline, DID Racing Chain, Namura Technologies, Bronco ATV and UTV Components, Lauderdale Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, the financial advice of the Haymauer Financial Group, DP Brakes, Factory 43, Binky's Forever ATC Museum, Impact Solutions, Ultimate Poly Products, UPP Racing. Use discount code DiggingDeep15 at uppracing.com, the D6 Ultimate Quad Series, and Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at manscaped.com. Support the brands that support our show, and don't forget to use those codes to save. Find it all on our website, and be sure to click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner for all your gear and parts needs and to help us out. And most of all, thanks to you guys for listening. Shop.diggingdeepatvmx.com is your spot for all of our Digging Deep merch. ATVFantasy.com is a spot for all ATV fantasy related things, including our 3 winners from this past weekend. My beautiful wife, Brooke, Cesar Jimenez, former AMA ATV Pro, and Chad Mackey made up the 3 winners in ATV Fantasy at Ironman. And the funny part is that the last 3 races, one of my family members won each of the last 3 races, starting with, I believe, my mom, then my dad, then my wife, Brooke. In the last 3 races, my family members have been one of the winners at each race. And to this day, I have yet to win a single event. We've been playing this game for 3 or 4 years now, and I, for the life of me, can still not win a single event here in Digging Deep ATVMX Fantasy. So I'm going to keep trying, and hopefully the next time out here at High Point is going to be the time. If you're looking for another easy way to help support us, visit our website and click the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee buttons. This allows you to set up a one-time or monthly contribution to support our efforts. Follow the show on social media, Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, and myself, Cody Janssen, for additional content, coverage, and more fun stuff here in the 2024 season of ATV Motocross. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and more. Wherever you find podcasts, you'll find the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. All episodes, additional podcast providers, sponsor links, and discount codes, show merchandise, fantasy info, and more can all be found on our website, diggingdeepatvmx.com, so check that out today. Be a friend, tell a friend. Please download, subscribe, rate, review, and share. And with that, for Joel Janssen, Brooke Janssen, Dallas Janssen, and I'm your host, Cody Janssen, thanks for listening to and making us the most listened to podcast in ATV racing, with more than 255 downloads last month in 108 total countries. Until next time, thanks for joining us in Digging Deep with the Stars of ATV Motocross. I'm off to Budds Creek for the Quadapalooza event this weekend. See you Saturday at Budds Creek, Saturday evening at Budds Creek for our Digging Deep live show, and then we'll repurpose that audio probably next week as a podcast for all of our listeners to be able to listen to that can't be there. But if at all possible, we'll see you Saturday at Budds Creek for our Digging Deep live show right there at Budds Creek Raceway. See you there. Things are crashing and burning here at the Digging Deep podcast, much like the Titanic.
Those guys were hauling ass, for real.
I remember watching Doug Gus, I don't know who it was, Steel City, running the same times Friday afternoon as James Stewart was on Sunday back then. It was mental. I've never seen quads go that fast.
Quadlers are freaking gnarly.